post-millennial advisor for Biden White House admits deep state is real, says bureaucracy could crush Trump's pick for HHS. In this latest release from James O'Keefe, this guy basically says the deep state is real. They're going to obstruct RFK Jr. They're going to use phony commissions to investigate things and then never actually do what they're told to do. This is what the deep state is. It is holdovers. It is politically minded bureaucrats who are doing everything they can, to obstruct. We recently saw the ATF. They changed the title of their chief diversity officer to senior executive. And they're doing that to hide these people in the government. There's only one solution. Trump's got to fire everybody.
Everybody GS-13 and higher, at least.
Yeah. But what do you do? I mean, how do you prove that the people you hire to replace them aren't going to be secretly woke and trying to subvert the country?
I don't know. I mean, I don't have an answer. But the evidence is that the people that are ideologically possessed in the government are not going to be easy to get out. Like, they're going to lie. They're going to do whatever they can to hide their actual intentions. And
so do we think that Trump is going to succeed in his efforts, despite the fact that we see these videos where the deep state's like, yeah, we exist, we're going to keep doing it?
Well, like we were talking the other night with Angela, like, it's one thing to get it would be one thing to have a libertarian or someone that's really good as the head of a cabinet level position, a secretary, right? But it's probably better to have 7 or 10 people in the upper management that are of the same mind as you, so they can monitor the other people around, turn them in if they're breaking the rules. Because if you're just the head, you're delegating authority, but you have, just like with Trump's first term, he had problems with the people that he hired. If you get people that are in the bureaucracy and you get good people that are not head of the department or the secretary level, but they're actually the administrative level, those people can do more to make good policy and make sure that the policy that the president wants is actually being implemented.
I think this guy's getting a little bit ahead of himself, because I don't even foresee RFK Jr. getting confirmed as HHS secretary. Really? Yeah, he's way too radical on abortion for, I think, we only have 53 Republican senators right now. I think they'll be able to pick off a few. Mike Pence is trying to knock off a few. RFK Jr. has said he supports abortion.
Thune has said that he's got the votes.
Even if it's full term.
Thune has said that he's got the votes.
For RFK Jr.? Even
Thune has said that he's got the votes for everybody.
Okay, well, I guess we'll see about... I think him and Tulsi Gabbard are a little bit on thin ice. Hegseth lost Murkowski, but you need to lose 3 to be out of the running, because they have a 3-seat majority.
Getting elected?
Well, Murkowski's not a
Susan Collins is in a purple area.
Same thing with Collins.
These are people on the edges. But I was surprised RFK even got the nomination following what he said in the past about abortion and stuff like that. So we'll see how this goes. But I think this guy's getting a little bit ahead of himself.
Trump was pretty clear when he said that we're going to leave RFK to do what he does best, to sort of disentangle the big entrenched pharma cartel. But we're going to leave the environmental stuff away and everything. So will he have much of a say with abortion?
He will have some say, because he'll still be HHS secretary, but the bigger hurdle is getting past the pro-life Republicans in the Senate.
But Trump's left it to the states, right? Meaning that federally he won't have much to do with abortion, but it will be up to the states.
I still think HHS will be involved in some of the legal processes, but even before he gets that far, it'll be the pro-life Republicans in the Senate who I think would block the confirmation.
But will it affect the abortion laws, though? Because I think
it'll have some effect over abortion law at HHS. I mean, it is the Department of Health and Human Services.
Leaving it to the state, then I think that he would have foreseen that, because he wouldn't want a radical like RFK on abortion having anything to do with the abortion.
Well, it was quid pro quo. It was, if you drop out and help me, I'll give you a position on the cabinet. So politics aside.
And remember when RFK Jr. said that he reached out to Kamala as well and they snubbed him?
Didn't even answer him, yeah.
I think the people that if there is anyone that is likely to not get confirmed, I don't think HHS is the one. Because honestly, I think that it would be like Kash Patel at the FBI, Hegseth. I think it would be people that are part of the intelligence apparatus dealing with foreign policy, as opposed to the people that
I think it's
It was
people who
Tulsi
hold.
Gabbard.
I think it's funny because I kind of think the opposite. I think it's Republicans who hold grudges against people who used to be Democrats that might stop them from getting over the line. So, like for example, some people in the national security apparatus don't like how Tulsi Gabbard cozied up and met with Bashar al-Assad in Syria when he was still in power there. This abortion issue is a huge issue for Republicans across the board in the South, especially the abortion issue. Those people are the ones I don't really foresee getting. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't think that I think the Republicans understand that Trump has basically a mandate. At least on the Republican side, they're of the opinion that Trump has a mandate, and they feel like they need to get on board. The only people that I think don't hold that opinion are people like Murkowski and Collins that don't have to worry about pleasing their Republican base. I think that they have to.
It's ironic because Thune is actually going to be appearing tomorrow at the March for Life in D.C. while he's allegedly going to try to whip up votes for an HHS secretary who will likely be the most pro-life one, at least that a Republican's ever appointed in office. So
yeah, I think on a federal level, the abortion question has been largely answered, and it's back down to the states. And I think that Republicans in the Senate and stuff are like, thank goodness I don't have to worry about that too much, because they can just say, well, it's a state level thing, so you have to worry about your state legislature.
That's one that you
they
guys
have cover.
That's one that you guys will never resolve with civil discussion and discourse.
Oh no, people love fundraising money on both sides. That's part of why I don't think it'll ever get resolved.
But also it's because the pro-abortionists are possessed by demon spirits.
Democrats raise so much money based off of this issue alone. It's one of their biggest platform policies that they even have. Yeah. What did the Democrats run on in the past election? Women's rights was the top issue that most of the women cared about, and their base are becoming more and more feminine.
It's 50-year-old women that have gone through menopause that can't have kids that are making a stink.
A lot of young women are Democrats because of abortion. I think
it actually
in my
is.
Experience,
it is the case, unfortunately, because what do you get sold these days if you're a young woman? You get sold a bill of don't need no man, be independent, don't have kids. It's bad for the environment, and you want to have like a job with a fluffy little notepad.
The solution to the abortion question isn't convincing young women that they shouldn't get abortions. It's convincing young men and women that they need to get married and have kids.
I think the solution to the abortion problem is legislation and only legislation.
I don't agree. I think when your country requires things to be written down, your culture is already collapsing, and we've got an OnlyFans problem, and it's not just a problem of women doing it; it's of men paying for it.
Yeah. How would you?
I know that I'd be willing to bet there are a ton of guys out there who will go on X and post things about virtue, and they're buying OnlyFans.
But how would you solve that though? Would you outlaw it? Would you outlaw OnlyFans, or would you disincentivize it?
You need cultural reformation, and that can only be done through the will of the people and the decisions of those to break their addictions. So, like I said, I bet there's a lot of people who go on X every day and say things like, women should be mothers. We don't need women in the military, and they're buying OnlyFans. But they're paying women for this. They're enabling and creating the culture by which women have quit their jobs to go do porn instead.
I don't think it's an issue for the state to resolve.
But even if they are doing that, and these men they have this double standard that they hold, what actually is the solution? Do you think that it's cultural incentivization, or do you think that it's actually legislating these things? Or
no, like I already said, you can't legislate this stuff away.
You can't ban porn?
You absolutely. I mean, you can try to, but look what happens with marijuana. Marijuana was banned. Everyone still does it. Alcohol was banned. Everyone still got it.
To ban nudes, you can't take pictures of yourself.
Yeah, the issue is always going to be, will your culture tolerate these things? So this idea that we're simply going to say, arrest people who do it won't change the fact that people will just end up doing it illegally. Look, you need cultural reformation, and that is ridiculously hard to accomplish, but it's the only way to put a stop to these things is if on shows like this and on other platforms, people are shaming. We need to bring back shame to as hard a degree as possible. If a dude gets caught buying OnlyFans, he is mocked relentlessly in public.
I agree.
Shame.
Well, it needs to be such that we raise people who wouldn't want to access and pay for it. But just from the legal side, I don't even really know in a pragmatic way how we would actually do it. It's like, if you take a naked picture of yourself, we're going to send police to your house to arrest you.
But it's not even if you take a naked picture of yourself. It's if you distribute that naked picture on the internet.
Then we're going to send police to arrest you.
We legislate against drink driving, for example.
And people's and right, and the issue.
But wait, these aren't the same. Drunk driving and
I know, but it's an aspect of drinking. So if you're going to talk about drinking and marijuana and drugs and everything,
you are not going to ban the dark web. You are not going to demand the state through force and a practice that people can easily access through VPNs. It's going to keep happening. We need shame, cultural reformation.
I agree with
How much cleavage are you allowed to show before we're sending the cops after you?
Well, I think that there's a pretty easy line there, which is just nip.
Nip,
You know?
okay.
If you
Areola
slip the
cool?
nip, you know?
Is areola cool? Or
What about men?
just
Can
doing
men
that?
slip the nip?
Yeah, of course. It's different.
Well, now you got a violation of the Civil Rights Act.
Look, I'm not saying that nip slips need to be sort of banned, but if you're having sexual intercourse on camera and if it's being distributed to children, should you be liable for that?
By all means, you can legislate to ban porn, and it will curtail a decent amount of it, but it's not going to change the culture. Like the way. So by all means, I'm not saying it's ineffective completely. People will still absolutely do these things. They'll just do it illegally. But you need a cultural reformation that is accomplished through people willing to be to shame others. Enough of this like live and let live failed liberalism. You know, it's like, hey, look, I don't care what you do. Nah, I care what you do, because we all wanted to live in this world. I did when I grew up, where it's like, hey, man, you do your thing and I'm going to mind my own business. And then they started giving porn to kids. And it's like, can I please ask you to stop? And they said, no. And then when we were like, okay, then we're going to ban these books, they threw bricks through windows. So it's like, okay, we really can't tolerate this stuff. There's got to be an accepted moral framework by which we just say, yeah, we don't tolerate this. And how do you deal with it? You shame people. You don't need violence. You don't need brute force. You can try to start this process. Maybe it would be effective to a certain degree to ban these things, because it would result in a reduction across the board. And then you can shame those who would do something, who would continue to do so. But really, the most powerful motivator is when young people are ridiculed for doing bad things. So you look at the effect that Instagram and TikTok has on teenagers, and if they don't get enough likes, they get depressed. And they try to follow the trends because they're trying to fit in. Imagine what would happen if somebody posted on a platform and people found out that they had bought an OnlyFans subscription, and all their comments were filled with ha 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 ha, unfollowed, you're a loser, you're nasty, you're a loser. These people would never do it again. They'd be like, no way, man.
100% agree with you on the cultural implications, and there being shame, and there being an incentivization towards the nuclear family and towards people being virtuous. However, when I do look at the industry of porn, when you look at it holistically and you sort of zoom out on it, this is the reason for so much human trafficking in the world. It's the reason why CP is made. And if you're looking at purely from a utilitarian point of view, the damage is unbelievable with this industry. So, I mean, I can really see a case where we would have much stricter laws on these things in the West. And also, there's been studies done that show that the countries that are more liberal about it, like Holland and these sort of Northern European countries, they tend to have much larger industries and much larger influxes of human trafficking.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I do think we should legislate. I do, but I think it's important to stress that when you get to the point in a society where you're writing things down to make sure people don't do it, you have an immoral society.
Yep,
and there's massive failing there. However, I do think OnlyFans is abhorrent, and I think the big problem we have to start with, we can talk about whether we ban something like this or not. The problem right now is that even X allows porn. Okay, this is basically saying, if a child walks out, if a child walks out into the middle of New York City and someone gets buck naked, yeah, they'll arrest the person because there's obscenity, there's decency laws. On the internet, however, a child can log in at 14 years old, young teenager, and go on X and see radical, insane fetish porn, and it's allowed. I think we should pass legislation that says if X, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, I don't care, Instagram, if they allow access in any way to adult content or graphic content to children, then they'll be penalized criminally like any other company.
What about Pornhub then? Because Pornhub has had many different instances in the past where they've had children who have been on there for weeks.
Yep.
CP, and it's got millions of views and millions of impressions.
And they should be criminally penalized for
agree.
that. And they've already had numerous states enact ID requirements where Pornhub's been like, oh, why are they making us require IDs? Because the adult bookstore down the street doesn't let kids in, and neither should you.
Yep.
I was going to follow up in like the real world pragmatic practice of this is that in something like 15 odd states now, they Pornhub ended up blocking service because those states were pushing forth laws that required, I believe, state IDs to prove they're above 18 to access their website. I think that's a sort of sensible regulation. I don't think banning is the proper direction to go, but something like more regulation around access, especially for kids, as we advance into such a technologically savvy environment where these kids probably know more about tech than we do.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.